Season's greetings from 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏𝗂. First of all, guys, I want to say happy Christmas. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. And in this video, we're going to dive down into Cardano. We're going to take a look at what's going on and what 2022 might actually bring to the horizon here for ADA. So, guys, as we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. Really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then do go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏𝗂. Right, with all that said, done and out of the way, let's actually jump on down into the desktop and take a look at what is going on with Cardano this Christmas day. Okay, guys, so we're going to start things off with the weekly chart, right? Obviously, I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks or so a potential shift and change with Cardano, a new trend potentially forming, right? And this is something that I think we're starting to kind of see kind of coming now. Okay, so basically March 2020 was a fantastic time to get into crypto. There was a huge crash, not just in the crypto space, but also in the stock market, etc. And it pretty much got a very quick turnaround, right? And instant gains were kind of seen, all-time highs were kind of hit. Around the kind of August time of 2020, we pulled back down into that last kind of wave 2 low. And this was actually around the end of 2020, right? Actually, for Cardano, it was actually September lows. And then we actually started to get a little bit of traction late November. And this is actually where I got the majority of my ADA actually at this point in November. Before then, I wasn't overly, too involved with it. It was pretty much down at this point here that I was kind of getting involved with Cardano. So less than 10 cent around that kind of range, early November time. And then basically from there, in December and January, we saw this pretty good rise with Cardano and taking it up into these high areas. And again, that's where this A, B, and C move turned impulsive, went from A, B, C into 1, 2, and 3, meaning that we are likely to see that fourth wave pullback and that fifth wave high, right? As in, you come down for wave 4, and then you go higher than wave 3 into wave 5. Okay, and that's kind of what you saw here. We set the new all-time high at $3.10. Now, obviously, the trends based on the low area of wave 2, the high area of wave 3, and the low area of wave 4, those were actually indicating to us that we should be looking at, a 4.236 extension of about $11.13. Again, based on the trends of the bull run. Again, that was for actually aligned to the rules of Elliott theory, and that wave 3 would have been the longest, which is usually the case, not always the case, but usually the case, and wave 5 would have been pretty much in line with wave 1, wave 5 kind of being very similar. Wave 4 and wave 2 actually not too bad. We could have had a much deeper wave 4 correction. In theory, we actually held up incredibly well for Cardano. Then we obviously got that high, and then obviously we started to see this ABC down, right? This move to the downside on Cardano. Now this, is, I feel, enough of a deviation to say that actually effectively we might have a new trend forming here. Okay, and this is important to kind of understand because this could be massive for Cardano, much higher than maybe even the expectations of our original kind of trend-based fib at 4.236. So we want to be obviously tracking what happens next quite, carefully to see how this thing kind of plays out. So as we can see, we started to see this green candle after a pullback down. And again, everything bounces, so we obviously are quite cautious at this point. If we actually go ahead and take that point here, we can see that a bounce to about 193 is kind of an area that we want to be focusing in on, maybe going a little bit higher, to the 702. That's the $2.03 area, the $2.13, the 786. Getting that close candle above that 786 area, that $2.13, would effectively mean that we're doing pretty well, and we should be looking to track quite nicely to the upside. I do expect, however, that we're going to get rejected from that 786, come down into a B wave low, again coming back down, retracing into the 618, but the other way around, as in we grab the fib, and this time we'll run it from the low area of our wave 4 or this ABC pullback, and then as we go up into this wave 5 high, maybe that 786 area there, get the rejection, come back down into the 618 pullback zone. And then we actually reverse this back up. So normally what you find is the markets are relatively interesting at certain points in time, right? And this is exactly one of them, because basically what happens, generally speaking, is you'd push up, and on the bigger kind of macro trend, you would assume that actually you're going to go down to lower lows if you get rejected from that 786 area. Okay, so as in we came down here right? We set this low area of wave A. Okay, we then pushed up, failed to close above the 786 and fell down to lower lows, right? But at some point, this actually reverses around, and it's important that you count your waves, okay? So obviously the ABC down leads to an ABC up. So this is actually a bit of what you might consider a bit of a bear trap to a point, because you'll get rejected from the 786. People will expect you to go down lower than you were previously, only to actually get the reversal halfway through, because actually it was a B wave down with a C wave up. Okay, so actually when you track this the right way around, it's actually looking pretty good, pretty positive, but we do expect to get rejected from around that $2.13 area, pulling us back down towards that $1.57 area, so a little bit north of where we are right now. Okay, and this is a bigger weekly move. Okay, so there'll be some volatility on our daily, there'll be some volatility on our hourly chart, but from the macro piece here, you'll track up, you'll pull back, and then you'll track up again. And what we're waiting for here is when we get up to that $2.76 area is actually take this C wave and continue running, going past the 1.382, going past $3.21, closing above it, maybe even going after the $3.49 area, hit an all-time high. That effectively would actually turn this impulsive rather than being an ABC wave. Instead, what you'd have would have been a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go on to the fifth wave, right? So again, lots of really interesting things are happening here on the weekly chart. Okay, and things that we need to be aware of. Do expect some kind of reversal to happen, okay, in January, and I think it's going to be a short kind of reversal with this little B wave, and then we'll continue that run to the upside. Right now we are oversold, as we were oversold previously, so oversold right now in the same way that we were oversold in the bottom of wave 4, and of course we were oversold at the bottom of wave 3 and the bottom of wave 1 and wave 2, etc. Right? So basically from here you see lots of positivity in terms of actually taking the price to the upside. Okay, stochastic is supporting a good push to the upside, pretty much across most projects. There's like the exception here and there, but for the most part, definitely looking for a good push to the upside overall. And there's other things that are also going on in the background. Obviously, projects are being built on the ecosystem. Currently, there are 62 dApps on Cardano. Again, this is from CardanoCrowd.com. Check it out if you want to know more about all the different kind of projects that are on here at the moment. But ultimately, once that PAB launches, you're going to start to see so many more projects launching on the Cardano ecosystem in 2022, which is obviously going to have a pretty decent impact on the price, right? So obviously, we've seen this with Solana. The reason that Solana pushed up so much was it had some dApps built on it that increased the transactional volume. Increase in the transactional volume ultimately means there's new utility, new demand for the coin, and when there's demand for the coin, supply demand metrics kick in, and obviously you start to see price appreciation. Okay, there's nothing to do with market cap. Market cap has absolutely nothing to do with price discovery. Market cap only ever shows you the price, the last sold price multiplied by the circulating supply. So it's not a measure of value, it's not a measure of liquidity, it's not a measure of anything other than price at that particular moment in time. Okay, so when people say how is it worth X amount of billions of dollars, but it's not, because that isn't how market cap works. Okay, understand the calculation to understand what it's showing you. It's not showing you value, it's not showing you liquidity, it's not showing you the amount of money flows into it. It's merely showing you the current price at the moment in time when you actually look at the market cap. Okay, so market cap is completely irrelevant to price discovery. What is really important is trying to get utility, trying to get a use case or increase the demand for the coin, and then obviously make sure the supply is squeezed. You squeeze the supply, you increase the demand, the price appreciates. If the supply increases, then obviously there's enough supply to meet the demand, the price potentially stays stable. And of course, if the demand comes down and the supply goes up, obviously the price pulls back down. This is really simple stuff. Okay, so do make sure you understand what market cap can be used for and what it cannot be used for, and understand how we are going to get this price appreciation with Cardano. In the same way that you have seen it with Solana, dApps launched, increasing the transactional volume, but at some point that supply is going to increase and the demand will maybe fizzle down. Who knows? There's lots of speculative investors in in Solana, for example, so you want to be kind of cautious over those things, in the same way that it can argue the same thing for Cardano. Okay, the other thing that's really important to understand is, since Christmas of 2020, the number of Cardano wallets has grown over 1,200%. Pretty simple to understand why. Obviously, such huge appreciation in ADA's price during that time. And obviously, it still increases, right? So last Christmas, there were 190,000, ADA wallets. And today, there are 2.5 million ADA wallets. Okay, now that's really interesting, but it's also going to get even more interesting. And this is because of all the various things that are looking to actually happen in 2022, right? We've seen lots of talk about partnerships, but we haven't actually seen the execution of them yet, right? We talk a lot about digital identifications and getting all this stuff on the blockchain for, the Ethiopian students and teachers. There's 5 million of those. And then, of course, we can take a look at what's going on with Boost Mobile, the Boost Mobile customers, and taking control and ownership over ID digitally on blockchain tech. There's 8 million of those. Okay, so 13 million transactions alone just in those two things that have been announced for 2022. Okay, so take that, park that for a second, and think about all these dApps that are going to be also launching in 2022. The migration, the great migration, if you really want to think about it, from Ethereum over to the Cardano ecosystem, you're going to see a significant push there, and we're going to see some significant developments occur on the ecosystem as a whole. So this trend that we're seeing in terms of the Cardano chart, I do think is going to be absolutely massive. And, it's too soon to really call it. We know there's an ABC up here after completing this ABC down. We can see that on the weekly chart. So we're looking to see if this turns impulsive to the upside, which would be fantastic if this third wave just continues to grow rapidly before we even start to see a fourth wave pullback and then another fifth wave up. It would be really interesting to see how it all kind of plays out. But for me, Cardano is a bit of a no-brainer for 2022 at this point, with the Plutus application backend, with the Ethiopian government contract, and probably many more government contracts to come across Africa, with Boost Mobile, dApps, over 100 companies looking to migrate over from the Cardano ecosystem, from the Ethereum ecosystem to the Cardano ecosystem, the launch of the Singularity family on the Cardano ecosystem, the ERC20 converter. So many things that are going to happen in 2022 that are really going to make light work, I think, of pushing the price of ADA up. You're going to start seeing speculative investors that may have ridden things like Solana up to the upside, maybe migrating over, chasing the green candles on Cardano, etc. One thing I am super cautious on, and obviously we have sold our Solana now. Obviously, I sold out at $185. Chris a little bit after me. 185 was my target. I'm a black and white guy. That was my target. I'm done. But then obviously it comes to fruition that there are billionaires invested just vesting, waiting for the ability to sell their tokens, doing behind the closed door kind of deals with each other as well. They don't care about Solana. They just want to drop their coins on the market and take their profits. So do be super cautious if you're in there on Solana. Also be very cautious over some of the things that have been going on. There's been a few issues, right? Not saying that Cardano hasn't had issues. Cardano has had issues, delays and various things. But Solana has had issues, known about issues, and not fixed them for several months. That tells you a lot about maybe the culture there, and a few other things. So I don't want to hate on them too much, but for me, I'm kind of done with Solana for now. I think let's get into the bear market. I'll reassess. Maybe I'll jump back into Solana at some point if logically it makes the sense to do so. I'm not, let's say, married to any of my bags. I think if something fundamentally shifts and changes, then obviously that's a good point to really reevaluate that position. And for Cardano, I think this pullback is an example of that, right? We're reassessing what is going to happen next. If there wasn't a new trend to the upside forming here, I probably would be exiting out of Cardano too. But I can see here that there's a new trend to the upside forming, and that's pretty positive news. I can at least see this thing pushing back up, and selling at the bottom isn't exactly a good idea when we can see this thing potentially pushing up towards that $2.76 area at a kind of minimum level. Therefore, I'm pretty optimistic at least being able to exit at that point if I needed to. Of course, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I do believe in Cardano longer term. And as a result, I'm very unlikely to actually sell my bags of Cardano if it doesn't really reach my targets. I'm more than happy as a stake pool operator to continue running and holding and hodling ADA for a long period of time as needed. So for me, I think it's important that we understand, where and how to assess the market. Cardano is definitely looking pretty good and positive for a trend to the upside. I think Solana's also going to be trending up to the upside as well. But again, I'd be very cautious over those billionaires potentially dropping their bags on the market there. And I would be very cautious over some of the other things that have been going on in the background, in the same way I think you should assess what is also going on in the background of Cardano as well. So guys, I'm going to leave that video there. It's a nice brief update on everything that's kind of going on with Cardano, why I think Cardano is going to be one of the front winners in 2022. It's going to be absolutely massive in my opinion, but that is what it is. I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research, dig deep. There's lots of FUD out there, which is why I brought up the 62 dApps that are currently built on the Cardano ecosystem, with more to come. Obviously that is a very small amount in comparison to some of the competitors, but at the same time, I think it's important that you understand that how Cardano is actually executing versus the partners or versus their competition. Ultimately, what you see is the competitors, they're rushing to market with problems and then they're fixing them later. And with Cardano, they're fixing it before they actually get it out there, and therefore they're actually launching with a product that is actually going to be stable enough to run these dApps. So overall, hopefully you have found it useful. If you have, hit the like button, really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then do go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And with this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.